The fate of Ontario's budget lies with the NDP. All eyes will be on a meeting this week between NDP leader Andrea Horvath and Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne. The New Democrats can either prop up the budget or reject it. Saying no would, of course, trigger an election. For more analysis, I'm joined by Gilles Bisson. Gilles is the NDP MPP for Timmins James Bay. He joins us via Skype from there. Thanks for joining us today, Gilles.
Great Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's beautiful weather here, and I hope it's beautiful weather there.
Beautiful weather, but the water is really high. There's a lot of flooding in our area.
Not a good thing at this time of year.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, a lot of interesting times ahead for the NDP. You could say that you swing the balance of power in the province of Ontario. Any indication as to which way that's going to swing?
Well, it's a bit early to tell now. The government essentially gave us pretty well everything we asked for in this budget. But there are two problems. First of all, they spend far more money than we asked for. Liberals are notorious for throwing money at a problem, trying to do what's right politically. So, for example, we've asked for some guarantees around home care. A lot of seniors and others who are trying to get home care have to wait as much as 90 days to get an assessment. We say it's reasonable to do that within 5 days, and that should cost about $30 million. The government has thrown $250 million at it. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, how do we know that the money that they're actually putting forward is actually going to get the results that we want? So we need some accountability here. There has to be some mechanisms to make this accountable. The Liberals don't go out and do what they normally do, which is throw money at a problem and at the end not resolve what the problem is.
Well, it sounds like you're asking for guarantees in a situation where there is no guarantee, though, isn't it?
Well, we're looking for some type of guarantee because you know what the Liberals are like. I looked at last year. They made a $45 million announcement for infrastructure for municipalities. When municipalities in my riding tried to apply, it was so hard to get qualified for that none of them got any of the money. So the government's really good at making announcements, but they're very, very poor at actually being able to deliver on what those announcements are. So we're saying essentially there's two things here. Yes, it's good that the government essentially gave us everything we asked for, and that is a positive sign, and that means we may be in a position to support this budget. But quite frankly, we need some accountability. Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals have been known for a long time as being those who are probably the least accountable of the lot. So we need some accountability measures before we can go forward and actually support this if we do.
Is it beyond the realm of possibility that we can see changes to this budget?
Well, I think there's going to have to be some changes, not so much on the items, but on the accountability part. There's going to have to be something that says, tell us where you're spending the money, and let's make sure that we get a guarantee. A good example is auto insurance. Even the government has come back and says we're going to give you we're going to allow the 15% reduction for people across the province to get a reduction on their auto insurance, and for most of us that's good news. But what is the detail? Does that mean to say 15% on average, which means somebody living in Brampton gets less or more than somebody living in Cornwall or Timmins? We need to know that this is equitable across the province and that there is an actual 15%. Again, I go back to Liberals are really good at saying one thing but doing the opposite. So unless there's some accountability to how these things are going to work, we will not support that budget. But at this point, it's a bit early to tell.
Your leader, Andrea Horvath, said she wants to talk to Ontarians about what the NDP should do next. Is that a good tactic at this time, to go to the people of the province and ask them what the party should be doing?
Well, it's their money. Who else should we be talking
Absolutely.
to? Right? Well, you know, it's all of the people out there that are paying the taxes that pay for these services, and the government has responded to our demands by putting those 6 things we wanted in the budget document. So I think it's a good thing that we're going back and hearing what people have to say. I got to tell you right now, so far it's a bit of a mixed bag. I've been doing some consultations in my riding over the weekend at some different venues that I had on the weekend, and just meeting with people over coffee yesterday and today. Set up a couple of sort of over the coffee kind of discussion, and it's a bit of a mix. You know, there's some people there that are saying, you know, we're having a hard time trying to find ourselves supporting this government. Some people would say because of what's going on with the gas plants and everything else. But on the other hand, it's a mix the other way where people are saying, listen, I could use 15% reduction in auto insurance, and if you can find some other way to deal with the gas plants, give me the 15% and let's deal with the gas plant separately. So it's a bit of a mix at this point.
Gilles, I want to look at the big picture here, because it's the NDP does swing the balance of power in this province right now. You either support the Liberals and we don't have an election, or you don't support them and we have an election. Are you guys in consultation at all with the PCs on what the government or what's the best for the province of Ontario? Because they're obviously not going to support this. Does what the PCs do have anything to do with what the NDP is going to do?
Well, I was having a laugh with a couple of my Tory colleagues the other day because I was telling them I wasn't too clear what their position was, and maybe they can clarify for me. So we were having
just read the white paper.
Well, it was funny. That's all I could say. Listen, Tim Hudak has gone down a particular path, and he's decided, I'm not going to read the budget. I'm not going to support anything. I'm opposed, and that's it. And what we're saying as New Democrats, we're saying, listen, we don't like a lot of what this government has done any more than Tim Hudak or anybody else out there. But I think it's incumbent upon politicians when they get the power, and whatever that power might be, balance of power, power in government, to try to do what's right for the people and not necessarily what's right for us politically. Let me tell you, if there was an election for the Tories and for New Democrats, things are pretty good right now. But is our responsibility to our party, or is our responsibility also to the people of Ontario? And that's what Andrea Horvath is saying. She's saying, listen, we need to be conscious of what people are saying at home, and that may be in Cornwall or Toronto or Timmins. What does this mean for them? Is this budget a step forward in the right direction? Is this something that the public wants? If so, how do we deal with it? How do we make sure it's accountable? And I think any time that you go back to the person who pays the bill and you say, listen, my friend and my fellow citizens, what would you like your elected representatives to do? I think that's a good thing for democracy. And I think it makes, it's a way of trying to give people some confidence in the system of government that we have.
No question, we are seeing democracy in action right now. Gilles, I appreciate your forthrightness. Thanks for this.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. That was Ontario NDP Gilles Bisson joining us live from Timmins, Ontario.